Why don't we get the meeting started? Ross, it's all yours.
Okay. For the current budget, three things I wanted to bring up. The first is that we had mentioned at one point that we submitted for the FEMA reimbursement under COVID, a 75-25 split. One of those got approved. We have two projects, one for cleaning and decon and some other miscellaneous expenses. Cost the district about $4,500, and we were approved for the 75% reimbursement. So we should be receiving about $3,400 at some point. We just put the paperwork in the mail. I had the admin board chair sign off on that yesterday. And the second project, COVID related, is to the tune of $6,600, and we're waiting for approval on that. And again, that would be the 75-25 split. Second item, which I've already covered with Lori, was we've received all of our H2 assessments except for Townsend. So at this point, every community's paid everything. Two communities this year benefited from their final transition award from State 911. So Bolton and Townsend both saw a reduced assessment, and then State 911 reimburses us for the difference. And then finally, I want to talk about the support and incentive grant, which funds a big chunk of our operation. We've received two reimbursements. The first we sent out on October 22nd. It actually went into our account December 28th. The second one went out on November 5th. It went into our account on January 8th. So that's between 65 and 68 days turnaround. But now we're in a cycle because we're submitting every 2 weeks with payroll, and it appears that we're getting the reimbursements into our account every 2 weeks at this point. So if that carries on, we'll be in good shape with the support and incentive grant. At this point, we've received $75,000 approximately, and we have another $694,000 remaining in the support and incentive, which we fully intend on using up by the end of the fiscal year. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, what about the FY22?
FY22, I was anticipating there weren't going to be any changes, but yesterday I received notice from Worcester Regional Retirement that our FY22 assessment went up significantly by $15,000. So I made the adjustment. The draft that I sent out yesterday, it's titled 5.1. So the only change is that the Worcester Regional line item 34 was increased to 57,000 from 42,000. And in an effort to keep community assessment the same, we looked at line 80, hardware replacement, and we made a cut, a $5,000 cut. So,
Ross, do you know why the assessment went up so much?
well, my understanding, the assessment's based in part on the number of employees and also on payroll. And we had a significant jump with the last collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
I think historically, in going back prior to my time, that we were under assessed significantly. And it seems that the trend is up. At least the last 3 years, the trend has been up. I think getting us more to where we should be for the number of employees and the size of our payroll.
Are they, is it class 4? I don't know if those employees are considered the class 4 employees.
Yeah, so we're group 4 employees. Yeah,
Okay.
Worcester Regional only has, they only have 2 retirement groups. I think they have group 1 and group 4.
Okay.
and we're classified as group 4 currently. Yeah.
So those are higher as well, I think. That's what I heard this year, that the group 4 numbers were going way up.
Group 4 is just the police, fire, and correction officers. Is that correct? Or is that?
That's, I'm sorry, maybe I said that backwards. Yeah, group 4 is public safety. Group 1 is like clerical.
Right.
And there are other counties that have group 2, which in other counties, dispatchers are often classified as group 2, but in Worcester, group 2 doesn't even exist. And then group 3 is only state police. So yeah, thank you, Angela. I had it in reverse.
I also want to mention that another reason that the assessment might have gone up is Worcester Regional seemed to change their mind about the dispatcher in charge pay as whether or not that was pensionable. And they decided that it is pensionable. So that's increased our payroll with them.
Oh,
Thank you for that, Angela. So that one adjustment to Worcester Regional and then the one offset that I made on line 80 put community assessment at 199,500. Oddly enough, it's a nice round number, which is a $964 increase over last year. I don't anticipate making any other changes at this point, and I believe that the committee and the administration board are looking for some type of approval on this so you can move forward at the community level, figuring out your own budgets.
oh, I guess I'm chairing the meeting now, aren't I?
Yeah, it looks like Tim dropped off.
Which I've never done. So I guess the question is, does anybody have any issues with FY21, FY22 that we should talk about?
I just had a real quick, just more of a confirmation question, just to be sure I understood on the FY22 budget, just because it is a large amount, 28,000. There was a 28,000 decrease for line number 63. It was, you mentioned, Ross, this line item was moved to the radio account, and this all, and there's some funds there. Let me see here, 8,000, and the decrease is due to the fact that you were going to use a different model. Is that right? Just
Yes, Nellie. So we moved that line down. There is a section, a category for radios, and so now line 93 and 94, you'll see both there. It just makes more sense to look at it there.
Yeah.
And so thank you. In an effort to keep community assessments in check, we changed, at least for FY22, our strategy on radio maintenance. And rather than having a full featured support agreement, we're going with something that is more on an ad hoc basis. Okay. And part of this is the rationale is that we're receiving a new radio console. It's actually being installed right now. And so that comes with its own warranty. But that cut and some cuts in other areas are really, we're trying to do our part to keep assessments in check. So it's not desirable, but it's necessary. So does that explain that cut?
It does. Thank you. I just wanted to be sure I understood again.
Yeah. And in particular also, and speaking for FY21, we did the same thing, again, trying to keep costs in check. I anticipate in the FY23, where we'll no longer have our loan payments to mass development, that one line item alone, $63,000, is going to come into play, and we'd be looking to, to get back to where we were with some of these line items, particularly radio maintenance and IT and that sort of thing.
Makes sense. Thank you very much. Thank you.
June?
I'm sorry, I came in late, so I don't know if you guys already discussed this or not. But with the Worcester County retirement, are we going to try to plan this year on paying that ahead, as soon as possible so we can take the discount?
Yeah, we tried to do that last year, and that was my mistake. I did make the payment, but I only made half the year instead of making the full year, so we did not receive the credit. I think the issue with trying to forecast whether we could do that this year, I wouldn't count on it, because the assessments come into us later. It's supposed to be January 15th. And just based on our experience this particular year, we didn't receive, I think maybe one of them was in by January 15th. Many of them were much later than that, by a month. And so I don't know if we're going to have any free cash available to commit to making that entire Worcester Regional payment in January.
Okay, but we're still gonna attempt to pay it on time. I mean, even if we send out the bills, or if you send us the bills earlier, and then we can
Well, we did. Yeah, I mean, we did. We also did for this H2 assessment, and no offense, but I mean, Townsend still hasn't paid theirs, so we sent it out 2 months ago.
Awkward.
What's up with that?
Unfortunately, it's not me who submits the bill.
I know if
I
you
need
could
to get
send
it
out a
from-
bill, if you could send out a bill in June with a July 1st due date, I would be happy to mail you our assessment and pay the Worcester retirement.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's really important that we pay the
Yeah, I do
the
too.
whole thing.
Sure. No, I understand. I mean, that being the case, what's the adjustment? Is it what percentage? Is it like a small percentage?
Like 1% or something? I forget.
Oh, it's 5%, I thought.
Is it 5?
Okay.
I think it's a difference of like $1,000 is what it comes down to, I think, based on what it looks like here.
Okay. Just keep in mind, the district agreement says that invoicing is for July 15th. And so we want to
Okay,
get
that's fine.
something from maybe the admin board that says that they're willing to accept early invoicing and to list it as July 1 instead of the 15th and to send it out early.
Well, personally, I would say bill it out anyway. If you
Yeah.
get it to us, I don't have a problem with it. I have to do it with the health insurance anyway, that
Yeah.
we pay it for July 1.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not a big deal either. So by all means, make sure it comes out early and we'll get it through as soon as we can.
Yeah, I don't
Also,
anticipate a
pay our
problem.
own Worcester bills too, so.
I don't anticipate a problem, but I believe the last 2 times that we did early invoicing, we got the admin board's blessing on that. And I don't anticipate a problem with that. Actually, Margaret's online as well from the admin board, but I just want to mention that. So that being the case, if somebody has a calculator handy, if we want to adjust that one figure, I don't have anything else for the budget, and I don't know, perhaps you're at a point to accept it?
I mean, and I'm only speaking for myself. I don't know per se if I would decrease it at this point in time, just
No,
because if for whatever happens,
That's true. That's true.
I would just say that even though you have the money there to spend on it, I would definitely recommend that we save as much money as we can in whatever spots we can. So
Sure. Well,
So
so then,
is there an actual cash flow issue that you wouldn't have 57,000 in the bank?
yeah, possibly this year. You have to remember that we're paying out, we're expecting to pay out a large retro and arbitration settlement this particular fiscal year.
Okay.
So, which I really can't give you more details on it because it was covered in executive session at the admin board level. And we also have bargaining unit members on this public meeting right now listening, so.
Yep.
I just don't, I don't think it would be fair to anybody to commit to that when we don't know yet. And I wouldn't be able to disclose it.
I know Bolton could pay on time. Just I need a
Okay.
reminder.
I want to say that it's likely, it's likely.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
if we're,
I agree with June that we should just leave it just in case.
okay,
Yeah.
so if we're not going to change it then, and you're all, you all have a copy of this 5.1, which I sent out yesterday.
Yes.
yes.
The only change was Worcester Regional and then a reduction in line 80, IT hardware replacement.
So are the total operating expenses 2,260,629?
Yeah, correct.
Just want to make sure I'm looking at the right one.
Yep. And then from the top part after revenue and then dividing by 7, that's how we end up with the 199.5.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna be the one to throw it out there. Ross, is there any way that we could cut this at all to make it back to level?
I think if there's anything more, I mean, I'm not sure if it's just purely symbolic. I mean, $964. If we do that, there are many categories here where I'm already feeling uncomfortable, and I fully expect in FY '22 that we'll be seeking to use reserve funds in the categories at the bottom listed, which we've never formally done before, but that we'd be seeking that because I see some of these categories going over, potentially legal for one. I mean, some of these line items have been cut significantly to the, 50%.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it. I don't know where I would even recommend that. I just thought I would throw it out there just in case you had some little stash somewhere in the budget.
Yeah, I mean,
Just had to ask.
I think if you took a look at FY '20 and then '21 and where we're at now, there's been significant trimming of many categories. And, as Nelia asked, making some major changes in the way that we do our like radio maintenance, for example. So.
All right, it was worth a
if-
shot.
If that's what you want to see, we can certainly find something somewhere, but at this point, it's beginning to make me uncomfortable, in several areas, just feeling that if there's any kind of major equipment failure or breakdown or something significant, the operation has been in business now for, we're going on 8 years, and some of the equipment is aging.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I am too.
I'm
Okay,
fine with that.
Should we vote on it? How do you guys feel?
That would be wonderful.
Was Tim all set with it?
I think so. I hadn't heard anything.
Okay.
I think he would probably defer to us.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the FY '22 budget of $2,266,629.
I second.
Is that Lori? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, do I have to do a roll call? I'll just go in the order. Okay. I say aye. June,
aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Karen.
Aye.
All right. It's unanimous.
Don't forget Nelia.
Nelia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nelia, aye.
Nelia.
I know you do. I'm sorry.
This is
Nelia.
like Celebrity Squares. Remember that show, Celebrity?
Yes,
Yes.
it keeps lighting up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right. Unanimous approval. Do we have anything else to discuss? I think that was it on the agenda.
How's 21 looking?
Good, actually good. I sent you all the half year,
Mhm.
and I can tell you, let me grab my copy here. I went through it, and obviously, many of the categories, because they're linear, you could simply multiply by 2 and figure out if you finish the year over or under or at budget. And particularly in the categories of wages, salaries, and benefits, there's going to be a surplus. We talked about some of this at the last. We anticipate using that to cover retro and arbitration. And again, I can't get into the extent of that because it's an open meeting and that was covered in executive session, but it's looking fine.
Sorry about the interruption. These delivery drivers drive the dogs nuts.
Yes.
Ross, I was also wondering if it would be possible if we could, when we meet, I don't know how often we're going to be getting together after this, but if we can also see the financial statements, just so that way there we can also take a look at the balance sheet just to also see where we stand on other things like grants that haven't come in, or how much is outstanding, or who hasn't paid their bill.
Yeah, I had a note. I had a
Not
note
my fault.
for April 1st is the next time to, similar to the report we just sent out, the budget to actuals, we'll do on April 1st. And you also want a trial balance with that?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
And also, just for point of interest, and we have one of the admin board members that's here on the call right now, Margaret. I'd like the finance committee to understand that there's been increased talk about coordination with both the operations committee and the administration board. And I think the finance committee is well organized and has been functioning quite well. I think this is our third year now.
Mhm.
But what seems to be missing from the admin board perspective is that you have the authority, and you just did, to approve the budget. And it sort of leaves the admin board out of the loop beyond what I might share with them at a meeting. And also, according to the district agreement, the police and fire chiefs that make up the operations committee are actually supposed to produce the budget with assistance from the executive director. And that never seems to be the case.
Mhm.
And so I think all around, whether it means that members from the operations committee should be required to participate in finance committee meetings, at least a representative, and maybe from admin board, and also that one or more finance committee members may need to or should be present at ops committee meetings and admin board meetings, especially around budget preparation time. Does that
I
make
was going to
sense?
say, maybe at the beginning of the budget process, maybe we should have a collaborative type meeting where all boards, all committees kind of get together, so we can at least do a layout as to what's going on and how we want to proceed for the year.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a good idea.
I think it would be helpful, and certainly, for next year. And I'm not sure if there's anything that remains to be done this year, but maybe it would even be a good start this year to have some kind of a connection between the admin board and the finance committee. Understanding that I think at this point, because you're going to maybe pick your next meeting, the heavy lifting is done, but you'll probably want to schedule something for April. So we're doing a Q3 type of evaluation. And then as we get close to the end of the fiscal year, I'm just guessing.
I mean, I would like to throw it out that probably closer to March, because we don't want to get too far into the year not knowing where you stand as far as in the budget, or if any major problems come up or anything like that. So at least we're all on the same page as far as finance goes for the current year.
Mhm.
Especially where he's predicting large retro payments, or, there's stuff in
Yep.
negotiations right now that we're going to affect FY21. So that's probably a good idea sometime in March.
So it's January, so maybe skip a month and in March.
Yeah.
I do want to, though, throw out that I know I personally have been talking with our police chief, and it really bothers me that we actually just did a whole budget process without their input.
Mhm.
I mean, we can't force them to meet, and unfortunately, just because they're not meeting is not going to stop the dispatch center from actually proceeding and doing their jobs. I'm very uncomfortable with this year's, no offense, Ross, you know what I mean? Because I'm really hoping that you are overseeing things and things will be okay. Even though I'm sad you're leaving, because that can be a whole nother issue there too. But it really bothers me that the actual operations has not really had any input.
Is that their own choosing though?
I'm not sure that I could put my finger on precisely why that is. But there are many members of the operations committee. We're talking about 7 towns and 14 chiefs, and it's a lot. it's a lot to put together. I do think that from your town administrators, that there needs to be more emphasis on the importance of participation, and even to the degree that it becomes a requirement. Because without that, myself representing the district, and this is the way that it's been for, this is our 8th budget now. We need to move forward regardless, because you need to have something to approve. And so, without the operations committee being involved, we're still going to get that done, and we have, but it's not the best. And so I think maybe if there's a question there, I think town administrators need to have increased emphasis on how this works out, and to make people go, perhaps. Make them go, make somebody go.
Is there any recourse? I mean, can they make them go?
Everybody has a boss. I have a boss, and I'm here for this meeting. Make every one of them.
Well, so many chiefs are strong chiefs. I'm curious. I wonder.
Well, that may be, but out of 14, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
And I would like to think that they should have some sort of interest in this.
You would hope so.
Yeah, if
If
they
they
want
don't,
input.
then don't complain.
Yeah, if they're not gonna put their input in, then they can't complain.
Don't get me wrong, and this is not to throw anyone under the bus, but a lot of this process isn't very discretionary. We talk about wages or salaries or benefits, and there's not a lot of wiggle room there. What I do see involvement with the operations committee is, well, in particular, FY23, we're going to free up $63,000 out of our budget. And what are we going to do with that? And so there's a real opportunity for the operations committee to say, we want to engage in some new type of a program that the district is going to pay for, or whatever. I see that as being a real opportunity for input. Similar to what we did last year, but on a much smaller scale, when we talked about doing some different things with software, and the district took on the responsibility from these software programs and took it off of the local department's budget, or at least you should have seen that, right? Because we took on that expense. So that's just a small example of the operations committee having some say about what the district does with their budget.
Margaret did type in that the strong chiefs are still accountable to the select board.
True.
Yeah, just not their town administrators. So kind of that your marching orders aren't as direct. A town administrator could say to a weak chief, I want you to go to these meetings. A strong chief, it would have to be the board of selectmen really that would have to say that. And not that we want anybody to be required, but I think
But I think it would be helpful also for you. I mean,
would.
because you could be thinking one way where they're thinking another way, and so.
Yeah, it would. And I do mention it when I go to my operations committee meetings. I do, say that this is how the budget is supposed to be prepared, but
Well, maybe we just have to start bombing meetings, that's all.
They don't want us in their cages, I'm sure.
Please, let's not talk about bomb threats.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Wrong term.
yeah. Again, I don't want to give the impression that I'm disparaging the operations committee. I just think this whole process, let's remember that when I first started, we didn't have a finance committee. And the center had been in operation for 5 years. And so now we have a finance committee, and the finance committee is well organized. And so I think we just need to take it to the next level, now that we have a well-organized finance committee, with this process down, that the next part that needs improvement is kind of the collaboration part. And, so there is room for improvement, but I don't think it hasn't been a bad process, but it can be a better process.
Exactly.
And it requires particularly town administrators to set the tone the same way that town administrators set the tone for the finance committee and played a role in organizing that, and I think, much to Tim's credit as well. So I think along those same lines, the admin board should set the tone with the operations committee when it comes to budget preparation.
Yeah, because we have to work on our timeline, I'm thinking, so that way there, maybe that will help a little bit too. Starting process.
Yeah, and we started especially early this year, or at least I thought so.
Yeah, no, it's good.
It was easier this year, kind of flowed a little bit better.
Yes.
Yep. And Ross,
Yeah,
thank
no,
you
no,
for getting information to us so that we can at least take a look at it before the meeting.
Yeah, and it's been helpful for me too. And I think there's another area where there can be improvements made, whether it be our choice of accountant or treasurer, but the fact that, at least for me, the QuickBooks is just much easier for me. And I think we've all benefited from some really simple reports that, that help us with the forecasting and seeing where we're at. So it's been good for me anyway.
That's good.
I don't have anything else. Thank you for that segue.
Well, we all wish you and your family the best.
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
big move.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what is the process of the transition with your leaving?
Well, I've been working with Angela, the deputy director. I've actually been thinking about this for quite a while, some form of succession planning. And as far as I'm concerned, with her, we're in a really good place. And knowing now that my departure is all but certain, we've got more than a month to work out some other details. But beyond that, I don't know. The admin board, I think, is ultimately responsible for, the method or means in which they, decide to choose a new executive director, whether they hire from within or advertise. And so I think that remains to be seen. We had a board meeting last week, and so, they're aware, and that's something that's up for discussion. But, for the immediate need, I think we'll be fine with Angela. She's been participating more in these types of meetings, and we talk about all sorts of stuff, just, within the shop. So.
Okay, great.
And we have all you fine folks to help her out when I'm gone.
Yeah, be gentle.
Okay.
So I guess we set up our next meeting.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay.
Are you thinking end of March or where are we?
Mid to end, I guess. Probably be fine.
24th or 31st? Is that
Either one works for me.
Either one works for me too.
same?
Yeah.
Can we do the 24th?
Sure.
Sure.
9 a.m.
And I'm guessing if anything financially comes up, though, you'll let us know, Ross, as far as like, if we do have to get together and because of something we didn't think of or whatever.
Yeah, the only thing that really crosses my mind is that there is a slim possibility that we may need to get together for approval to use some of the either the operating reserve or salary reserve.
Would a February date, tentative date, then should we set up something just to?
Yes, I think that's actually a good idea. Now that you mention it, that is a good idea.
Because we can always cancel the meeting if we don't need it. So.
Yeah, that's a good
Right.
idea.
24th? Or is that too late?
Sure. No, ask Ross. What do you think, Ross?
Something, maybe a week earlier. Can we do the 17th?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I think if the need comes up, it's going to be sooner rather than later. And I'd rather not have to say to the admin board, the finance committee isn't meeting for another week.
That's school vacation week. I don't know if that matters to anybody. I don't think anybody.
Is the 10th too early?
doing anything?
The 10th is tentatively an admin board meeting for me.
Okay,
So that-
so do we shoot them for this? Oh, you said it's.
We can do the
holiday.
17th.
Okay.
I mean, my kids are fully remote.
Well, no, Ross has got the admin meeting that day.
No, on the 10th.
Oh, okay, so the 17th would be okay?
Yeah, it's fine with me. My kids are in college, so.
Okay. 17th at 9 remote, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Okay, so that'll be an as-needed meeting. All right.
9 AM, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
AM.
I won't put it on the public calendar. I'll just put it on my own individual calendar. It's tentative, and as we get close, if we need to have it, we'll publish an agenda and all that.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Do we want to set up a meeting for March too, just in case he doesn't need us and we cancel it?
I think we have March 24th in
Yep.
there.
Okay,
You want to do that as a definite and I'll put that on the public calendar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
24th at 9.
Yep.
Confirmed, okay.
like a plan.
Sounds like somebody wants to be the new chair.
Then somebody else has to do minutes if that happens.
Oh, tough choice.
All right, I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, guys, maybe we'll see you in February. Maybe we'll see you in March.